Hello everyone and welcome back to Witchinary. If you have yet to subscribe to this channel, please do so because we're getting crafty, and today I wanted to bring to you the Simon Says Stamp August 2018 kit. This kit is called Mandy's Flowers. It brings the Mandy's Flowers 6x8 clear stamp set, this awesome tonic blue, I think it's called powder blue lace paper, some doodlebug stickers, this awesome Bow Bunny early bird 6x6 paper, which is single-sided so I don't have to lose my soul and mind trying to decide which side to actually use. It also brings this awesome Modern Flowers 6x6 cling stamp set, 2 cardstock papers in cotton candy, and 120-pound white cardstock. I also got the Playful Messages Simon Says stamp set because if I was gonna give my friends flowers for the umpteenth time this year, I was gonna be super sassy about it. I also got the Memento Tuxedo black ink, and I'm kind of mad at everyone because no one told me that this ink pad was literally the stuff of my dreams. It stamps like butter, which I don't think is actually a really good, you know, medium for stamping, but we're gonna pretend like it is. I'm also going to pull out my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers because these stamps are kind of more intricate and I wanted to give at least some sort of saturation to my images. It was going to be vibrant and I just don't have enough Copic markers for all of that. From my stash, I'm going to pull out my Sizzix circle dies, and for the rest of the images, I'm just going to fussy cut around them. And again, if I was going to give my friends cards with flowers on them, they better be the most extra flowers again for the umpteenth time. So I pulled out my Wink of Stella brush pen just to add a little bit of shimmer to my flowers. And once I was done with that, I was kind of ready to start playing with my cards. For my first card, I had already had this in mind, but I messed up. So I pulled out some ultra matte black cardstock from my stash and I just die cut that using one of my circle dies, and I cut out a strip at the bottom. And then I kind of started playing around with the orientation of how I wanted my embellishments in the stamps that I made, or the images that I'd already colored and made. I used the I Miss Your Face sentiment from the Playful Messages stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, and then I just used my Tombow glue, well, my Tombow tape runner to adhere the image down to the ultra matte black cardstock. Once I was satisfied with the orientation of everything, I just propped the entire circle up with some foam squares, and because I can never just leave well enough alone, I decided to bring my Doodlebug stickers into the bottom. I heard, or at least from what I read from the Simon Says Stamp kit, I was supposed to get Nouveau Bubblegum Blush Crystal Drops, but I never got them. And I don't know if I should contact somebody about that, but I just didn't get them. Once I'm satisfied with the orientation of everything, that finishes up my first card. For my second card, I wanted to use that beautiful Modern Flower 6x6 cling stamp set. So I used my Lawn Fawn stitched rectangle dies to die cut just a piece of scrap paper. I then take my Versamark ink and I just ink that up because my Mini Misty actually doesn't have the capacity for a 6x6 background stamp. So my remedy to that is just like ink it up with some Versamark, flip it over, and then just, you know, go to town, making sure that you get all of that ink on your panel. After I'm done with that, I'm just gonna pull out my Nouveau clear embossing powder, and I'm gonna put that all over and melt all of that beautiful embossing powder onto my panel, because my entire technique for this is just going to be to use some distress ink in the back and just shade it out, you know? I am going to use my distress inks in the color Spun Sugar, Shaded Lilac, and Picked Raspberry. I really miss using like color for galaxy backgrounds because they're like my favorite, and I miss them so much that honestly I might just use a lot of this for my bullet journal spread for this month. I love doing bullet journals and I love getting creative with them, so I think I'm just gonna use that. I actually have to record that like tonight. I should probably get on that, but anyway, yeah, so that's kind of my inspiration going into this. And I love this Modern Flowers cling background stamp. Honestly, I can use this for a lot of things, and I'm kind of mad I didn't use it for more. I had several other ideas than the 6 cards that I made, but I knew that I had to get this uploaded, and I really wanted to just do my bullet journal spread. I'm so behind with everything that I'm just kind of like, I don't know, I'm losing my mind a little bit. So thank you guys for your patience waiting for these videos, because yo, it's been real. Anyway, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna use some foam tape to just adhere down that beautiful panel to some 120-pound white cardstock that I'd already pre-cut for my panel. And then I wasn't sure if I was gonna use this beautiful circle stamp that I'd already, like, you know, stamped and colored. So I just ended up cutting the circle around it because I felt like the circle was very limiting. And I also took the liberty of using one of my Sizzix circle dies to die cut another piece of that ultra matte black cardstock, which is like always in my stash. If I get to 1,000 subscribers, I may have to do a giveaway, and whoever wins that, you guys are definitely getting a pack of this. Like, I have no idea how I would survive without it. I use the Versamark ink to basically ink up the sentiment that says, I love you more and more every day, except yesterday. Yesterday you were very annoying, or pretty annoying. And I just embossed that with some Hero Arts silver embossing powder. And then from my stash, I also took out that super sticky tape, because I wasn't sure if this tape was, or if like regular tape runner was going to adhere this down to my actual panel. So just on the safe side, I was just wanted to be sure. After I'm done fidgeting with where I wanted my little image, I finally taped it down on the side. And of course, because I wasn't done there, I wanted to take one of the Doodlebug stickers and just put a little heart at the bottom, so that way my friend or whoever gets this knows that I love them, even if I was being a little shady. And just like that, we're done. For my next card, I wanted to do something angular. I still had the circle image, and I still had this other flower pot image that I had already like stamped down, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to use them. I did, however, want to use this particular pattern paper with the cotton candy cardstock, because it just looked like they were meant together. So I go ahead and I start playing around with like an angled sort of design, and I wasn't sure what sentiment I wanted to use from the Playful Messages stamp set, so I just kind of like play around with kind of what I want until I get an idea necessarily. I used my Tombow tape runner to just start taping down my paper down to the actual card panel. If you don't have the Playful Messages stamp set, which I don't expect many people to have, you can always supplement those sentiments for things in your, you know, already in the kit. The kit does have good sentiments. I'm just, like I said, exhausted of needing to use like flowers and like I love you. There's only so many times I can tell the same amount of people I love them, personally, I think. Sometimes you just gotta get real with them. Anyway, after I taped it down and trimmed the excess, I did prop up this entire little layout with some foam squares, just because I wanted to give this card a little bit of dimension. And then from my stash, I had this ultra like glittery washi tape that I got from Michael's. We've all been to Michael's, and we've all been to the wall of washi tape. And this was just kind of one of the ones in that entire like wall that I just got. But yeah, I use my tape runner to just get a little bit more adhesive down onto the paper. I've had horrible experiences where the washi tape that I'm using just doesn't want to stick down, and I don't want the recipient of my card to get like a pseudo stuck on washi tape card, because that's just a bad look, and nobody who makes cards wants to look like that when they're sending a beautiful card to their friends. So I just go ahead and I made sure to have a lot more adhesive down on the card, and then I just trim off any of the excess just using a pair of scissors, and that kind of just gave this card a brand new sort of look. I go ahead and from my Playful Messages stamp set, I decided that I wanted to use the You're My Favorite Person sentiment, and I'm just going to use an acrylic block and my Memento Tuxedo black ink to stamp that down. And guys, I am so amazed at how amazing this ink pad is. Like, oh my god, it's just so sharp. It's so detailed. I'm really upset no one told me how amazing this stuff was, but yo, I don't know, man. So satisfying. Hero Arts, who's she? I don't know. Anyway, because I am trying to, you know, turn a new leaf of decorating the inside of my cards, I decided that from the same stamp set I was gonna take out the I Think I'll Keep You little sentiment, and I just put that on the inside so that way the card reads, "You're my favorite person, I think I'll keep you." And I have the perfect person this is gonna go to. She actually said a lot of she said this a lot when we were in college, so I hope that she gets the message and, you know, the little memo and hint hint nudge nudge. For my next card, again, I had that flower pot. I had this random like die cut circle from the Ultra Matte Black cardstock, and I had already pre-cut that one pattern paper using a Lawn Fawn stitched rectangle die. And I don't know, I kind of got the feeling that I wanted to make a card that had a bunch of like those awesome black strips. I'm being very inspired by my Instagram story, and guys, if you don't follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is just at Witchinary, so you can look me up and I will be there. You feel free to follow me. You can see kind of what I'm up to. But anyway, I wasn't entirely sure if I wanted to use the Playful Messages stamp set. For a while there, I kept going back and forth whether or not I was going to use a sentiment from the card kit itself, and I wanted to make sure my strips were big enough to house the actual messages from the kit. But ultimately, I went for my Playful Messages stamp because flowers, again, I felt sassy, I felt salty, so I just went with the maybe swearing will help sentiment, and I just decided to ink that up using some Versamark ink, and I heat embossed it using some, actually I did use some Hero Arts embossing powder. I thought I was going to use the Paper Source white embossing powder, but I just went for the silver because I had already been doing that. But from the kit itself, I used the For You stamp set, or like actual sentiment, because that way my card will read, "For you, maybe swearing would help." I should honestly put a little comma at the end of the "for you," so that way it's just an entire sentence. But anyway, I used my paper rounder to just round off the corners of my sentiment, just because that way the sassiness isn't as sharp. And I know that sounds so weird to say, but I'm such a visual person that sometimes little details like that make a difference for me. So I figured, like, if it's a softer edge, there's just a feminine edge to it that kind of makes what I'm saying a little bit more playful. So I just kind of like went with it. Once I'm done arranging my sentiments the way that I want, I decide that I want to use the image that has those red flowers, but then I really disliked how the red looked with that pattern paper, so I go ahead and I die cut this pattern paper with with the same Lawn Fawn stitched rectangle die, and I prop all that up using some foam squares the way that I wanted to before, but I just felt the blue of this pattern paper would make the red of the actual flowers stand out a lot more. And I was right, I really like this, and it kind of makes the card look a little bit more masculine. So now I have a wider range of masculine friends that I can actually send this to, because sometimes I feel like guys need to swear a little bit and just kind of get over it. I take out my Nouveau Clear drops from my stash and just add a couple of little droplets, and just like that, we're done with this card. For my next card, I realized I still had that beautiful pattern paper that I'd already pre-cut, and I had one more sentiment, and I just had this image lying around. And I figured, like, why not make a super simple card? Not my style, but you know what? The card kind of just made itself. So I just kind of played around with how I would want the orientation of this card. I wondered if I wanted to use that beautiful circle die cut panel that I'd already made, but whatever. I adhered down this card to some baby doll paper from Simon Says Stamp. I already had this panel cut from the last time that I made cards using the Simon Says Stamp July kit, but I never used the panel, so I mean the actual card base, so I just kind of kept it and took it out. I propped the actual sentiment up using some foam squares that I just cut in half, and I stick that onto the top, and then I decide to do the same, but prop up the actual flower pot with some foam squares at the bottom, and then I take the doodle bug stickers and stick some to the edges. I also wanted to reinforce this card because there was just so much weight on it with some of that same ultra matte black cardstock at the bottom, and that basically finished off everything nicely. And just like that, we are done with this card. I really like it. It's really simple, but super awesome. For my last card, I just used the second largest stitched rectangle die from Lawn Fawn, and I just made a nice little panel from this beautiful pattern paper, and I take my other cotton candy card panel or card base that I'd already made and another scrap of ultra matte black cardstock, and I just made a little banner border for it. It also gave it a little bit of like stabilization because it was kind of flimsy before. I didn't like the way that I adhered this down the first time, so I just carefully removed it. If you are very, very careful about removing what you tape down, you can honestly like get away with a lot. For this particular panel, or for this particular card, I wasn't sure if I wanted to use like another one of those sentiments directly onto the panel or onto some ultra matte black cardstock. I decided that since I'd already been doing it, I might as well just go for it. Plus I had this scrap piece of paper in front of me, and I go with the sentiment that says, "I'm obsessed with you," in a non-creepy way. I think I've actually said this to someone in person, and it was just so on character. I didn't like the way that the first one kind of stamped down because it was crooked, so I just kind of go for it a second time. And I used the exact same Hero Art silver embossing powder that I'd been using this entire time. And once I'm done with that, I just prop that up using some foam squares, and I prop up my little flower image that I had going on. I think this was the last image I actually colored, and I just propped that up using some foam squares. I made sure that it was like nicely aligned, that it was still kind of shiny, and I just played around with everything until I like got it right. There was a little bit of overlap with my foam square, so I just kind of like just mixed it around a little bit. I felt like this wasn't done yet, so I just took a little doodlebug heart and I just, you know, placed it on the side of that. So again, it's super sassy but super cute. And just like that, we are like done with this card. I hope that you guys enjoyed my 6 cards for this kit, and I hope to see you guys back here next time. Take care.